Hadouken! Hello everybody and welcome to another cover review here on the channel where I, your disheveled goblin host Daniel Greene, am going to be going through various Cosmere covers, opening up my brain and giving you the thoughts I have. As is tradition, I don't do cover reviews sober. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the world of Cosmere art. First up, we have one of the most iconic covers of the modern fantasy age, the Way of Kings cover. This is, without question, one of the best covers we've seen for the genre in a long time. Not only do the colors blend oh so smoothly with this gorgeous golden sunset, moving on up into these blue fluffy storm clouds, moving into a high storm that just feels so ominous and large. It's a banger. This is a banger cover. And if you have not ever looked at this on like a high-res screen that can do it justice and like really taking it in, I recommend you do, because wow, it's a spectacular piece of art. I didn't even get to the fact that it shows the shattered landscape stupendously. And we also have these two fine gents waving at each other, you know, one's in the distance like, hi. Then we have another one up close like, hello. Now we have Words of Radiance. I feel less awesome on. Still, the color's quite impressive, but I just don't like the two dudes not looking at each other, doing superhero action poses. I've just never been a fan of that. If the first one was a 10, which I think it is, this to me would be more like a 7, just because I find these guys so distracting. I just noticed, looking at this on a big iPad screen, that he's on top of a bunch of bodies. That never noticed that before. And we also have a spectacular high storm above. Always put a high storm. Why are you ever not? Yeah, so for me, I'm gonna stick at a 7 though. I just don't enjoy superhero posing. Superhero posing when they're the two people on the screen, one of them's looking into the camera and one of them's looking in some direction. His gaze does not line up with where Khaled is. Now we have Oathbringer. Oathbringer, I've actually had my mind changed on repeatedly. I don't love the colors as much, and I have a pretty big issue with the style of the art of the rocks versus everything else in the landscape. I don't know if this is trying to like communicate something specific from the story I'm not going to get into because spoilers, but even if it is, I just find it a bit jarring. I've heard no one else say this, so maybe I'm completely off base and it's just my crazy brain. I really do like, however, the colors in this top corner here with this big old Colossus man who seems to be going off to get some groceries or something. There's a little battle implication going on down here. I don't know what's going on to you. There's just a bunch of spears. It's exciting. And then this woman with a sword that seems to be glitching out of existence. This gets the Asks the Most Question award, because if you don't know what Stormlight is, picking this cover up is just a smorgasbord of what in the world is going on right now. That's a good thing, I think. And overall, I think this one, if we're doing ratings consistently, I would give a 7 out of 10 as well for being just a bit confusing, but also very tempting. It's tantalizing in its oddness. We just got Rhythm of War cover though, and you beautiful sweet summer child. I actually had the fastest turnaround of opinion here. When I first saw this one as I covered in Fantasy News, I originally went, what? But then I started to notice finer details. And there's so much in this image, if you look closely, just reminds you of what's great about the Stormlight Archive. This is a stupendous little look into the world that feels so distinctly Stormlight. I would say just as much as the first one does. There's this monolith in the background, which, hello, HAL 9000, 2001 Space Odyssey, other reference, you know, monoliths. Watch 2001 Space Odyssey if you haven't, you swine. It's also our first look at Shallan and Adolin on cover. I would say my one criticism of this is they seem to be having two very different experiences right now. Adolin is just taking a knee, enjoying a nice pink sunset, which, ooh, beautiful sunset, very otherworldly, enjoy. While Shallan looks like she just had the spookies scared out of her. She's terrified, and you think Adolin would be reacting to that. I don't know about that. I also just really like these mysterious diamond-shaped thingies that kind of definitely jump out as like super hard lines in this otherwise rich, luscious nature area. Ties together good, and I have one small criticism, so 8.5 out of 10. So if we're gonna jump into these Cosmere UK covers, I'm gonna start throwing out some hot takes. Arcanum Unbound. This is like Gothic Hobbit. It's Bilbo walking into an Edgar Allan Poe forest. It's good. I don't know why, but I actually just really enjoy this, and it raises so many mysteries. I'm down. I feel it. This is a good one. 7 out of 10 only though. That's right. Stormlight Archive, it sounded bad when it was 7 out of 10, but 7 out of 10 is pretty freaking high if you know my rating scale. I'm still vibing with this, just not as much. Stormlight original covers get a leg up. But okay, What, you're probably noticing something here in this image. There's too many Stormlight books right now. Daniel, what the frick? That's because for some reason they split them all in half? Don't know why. Maybe just sell more books. It's a little confusing to me. But now, for some reason, oh, I know why. We don't talk about this, but people in the UK have shorter attention spans than people in the US, so if you want to get them to read a big book, you gotta split it in two. Why am I being so insulting to the UK people? Because you changed it to Sorcerer's Stone when you thought we wouldn't read Philosopher's Stone. That's just insulting. We would read it. Some of us. All I wanted was to go to the Scholastic Book Fair and pick up the latest trendy wizard book to read and enjoy. Now I'm having an existential crisis about how the world views my country. Remember those like erasers you could buy and just whip the crap out of people with? Like every school ended up banning them because everyone would just whack. So yeah, that was rude. And as a result, I'm pointing out that for some reason they had to split Stormlight in half. Oddly, because you can't read a full book, even though I didn't do the research to make sure this is the reason it was done, or even that's consistently done in the UK. So the original Way of Kings in UK, this like you think like on a paper, it's drawing, so it's on paper, but I meant like the concept on paper. It doesn't seem very interesting. It's man with sword and a minimal art style, but this proves a good artist can make any concept really, really work. And this one is gorgeous. I actually even disagree with this depiction of something from the book. To me, the armor and swords from the book should be more grandiose and stand out, but this simplistic take just is gorgeous. Like, I don't have any other way to put it besides just a beautiful representation of the material, even though I wouldn't even call it an accurate one. So 8 out of 10 just on the merits of like, that's so good to cover. Now this art style is not always spectacular though, and I'm gonna jump over to the Secret History UK cover for that reason. I know we're leaving Stormlight for Mistborn, just let it happen, it's all right. And this is just because there's one element here I really don't like, and that's his face. Sorry, that sounds really mean, but I mean it. It just doesn't feel like the same style of art, and it's much more so jarring than what I felt was going on with Oathbringer. So this one for me sinks to like a 6, just because on like a feeling it level, I'm not. But we can see this style just done really consistently well throughout the Stormlight books. I would say that the Way of Kings Part 2 and Words of Radiance Part 1 are the weakest examples because it just seems a bit more awkward in its actual depiction, and they are the same guy it looks like, just he gets more bothered. It's like he's like, hey man, how's it going? Actually, step back, I don't know. It's just him being like, no. But then it makes up for it for Words of Radiance Part 2, where you got Seth looking super intimidating. The shadow face and the hood, he's mysterious, he's gonna kill you, and we know who he is at this point. Oathbringer, again though, they've decided to do something weird, where they split this woman's face in half. If we go back on over to this image, we see how she is literally between two covers. I thought originally they were gonna do it in a different way, where it was like her face but split over the spine, which would be odd. It's like giving birth on a book cover. But no, this is two separate books because again, they had to split it in half for the UK people to be able to have the paying attention ability to read it. But when you put the art together, I think it's a gorgeous piece of art. I just have an actual problem with the physical placement of the art on the book, which is not something I thought I'd have to say going into this. Pretty consistent. You'll overlay it. I guess not. You can overlay 2 books with it. But I don't know if I'm still rating things or not. I'm kind of just having fun. I think the art itself is a 9 out of 10 for Oathbringer, but the placement's like a 6 out of 10. Like, I respect the creativity, but I'm not a fan of it. I also found some just like miscellaneous UK cover art for Stormlight Archive. Like, what's this one coming from? Why do we have this? This is scary and spooky. It's shadowy and great. I love it. Why isn't it on everything? I'd give this one a 9 out of 10. Am I still rating these? Not consistently. Like, look at this center placement of Oathbringer. That is a little more enticing to me than half face. Seriously though, I need someone to send me like their actual all the Stormlight Archive UK books so I can understand why there's so many different ones and explain to me each one, because it's just, what's happening over there? Edge Dancer, we got your boy boogie boarding down some dirt. That's just his post to me and what it says. It's so distracting I don't even notice the sci-fi-esque fantasy building in the distance, but it works. This isn't my favorite. 6.5 out of 10. Okay. Let's move back into the US covers where we're home and safe in the land of the a lot of problems right now. And we have the one you've seen most often, Mistborn cover. This is when it was really at its height in its first huge printing that was in every bookstore, and I like it. it's good. For me, I have some problems when it comes to like how muddled it looks in the back. I always will prefer a clearer image, but this book really jumps out in terms of color. I love these pink vibes blending into this blue. Vin looks intimidating and badass as she should. Overall, 8.5 for me. But then the next two are just much more awkward, especially the Hero Ages in this printing, and that kind of kills the whole line for me. I would say both of those are like a 6 out of 10, with Hero Ages might be going as low as a 5.5. I just don't love it as much. But if we look at this set and drop down to the Era 2, I like the Era 2 of this, even though I don't like Era 2 as books as much, more consistently. So I'm gonna give all of these like a 6.5 out of 10. Still nowhere close to the Stormlight Archive covers, mostly. I also just want to point out this random Well of Ascension cover I found, and say no matter how many times I look at it, I'm just distracted by the fact that it looks like her back is being sewn shut. The flesh cover is just this, what? Oh, I didn't even notice there were a face in these clouds till way too late in the game because I was very distracted by what looked like being stitched up flesh. Now, okay, let's get into the YA Mistborn covers, because these ones start so strong. Again, I love this first Mistborn with the YA covers. It looks like Vin to me, it's action, it raises like mystery if you haven't read the books, like, ooh, what's going on here? Is she flying? Are those daggers in her hands? What's she gonna do? Is she an assassin? You're like, I wanna read that. Then the second one happens. I like everything here, the cloak, the sword, it's nice. It's not as good as the first one, but it's consistent. But why did her face change so much? This is just really off throwing it here for me, that her face looks so different. So I'm giving this only like a 5.5 because it's such a center point and it's so distracting to me. Hero of Ages though, it's a step up. It's even more interesting than the one before it, but we changed the face again to, and now it just looks like Aria Messi Williams Vin. And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I, again, 100,000% get this vibe here. I like the Koloss quite a bit, but it's just, I'm a little distracted by Vin as a whole. So my favorite Mistborn line is not this line, unfortunately, the YA covers. I do really like these ones I found. Look how pretty these are. Color, blah, scenes, action-y, and very distinctive art style. And I also found this one-off Mistborn cover, which I think is the most beautiful piece of Mistborn art I've seen. I love this young woman's face coming through a Mistborn cloak tendrils. How is this not the cover everywhere? Oh my God, I love this. Genuinely beautiful. But I couldn't find any sequels of this. I also came across a bunch of like the Mistborn adventure game ones, which are really fun. Look, you can be a Mistborn. Oh, you can stand in an alley with a knife. You can rob a train. Oh, I will rob the shyster out of a train if I had those powers. Or you could run from the city watch. Now I want to read Discworld. I also think the new covers look fine, though you can boil them down as someone broke a window, someone threw a plate, and then went to go work on the railroad, because it looks like a railroad spike. But they are actually very nice pieces of art. The Mistborn graphic audio covers are pretty intense. I especially love this Koloss. That is a amazing look at a Koloss, probably my favorite look at one. And then we have this kind of vicious looking Vin. I'm not the biggest fan of the art style, but I actually like how they made Vin look more intimidating and angry, because she's an intimidating character. She kills a lot of people. She headbutts a man to death. Then we got an album cover for a metal band in the early 90s. This one I don't like as much. And then we have Man, where it actually looks like the spikes through his eyes are glasses for a second. I don't know why I saw glasses, but I did. His expression's just not matching me. He should look more, I don't know, he looks a little confused. He's kind of look like he's going, huh? To me. And then we get Jagged City, which I have very no feelings on. All right, let's move away from Mistborn and get into Warbreaker. Again, one of these more muddled appeal covers raises its head, but it's definitely more, oh, I noticed some real beauty within that here. I like how it kind of looks like, you know, when you get coffee and you first pour cream in it and there's that beautiful cloud of color, and then it just, before it mixes, you see these lines of cream. That's actually the vibe I get here, and I like it. The woman drawing picture, I'm not sure what this is exactly. It's so filtered through. I could entirely take or leave, but I enjoy the color work with Warbreaker, especially what's going on. But let's not, we're not kidding ourselves. This is the Warbreaker cover. The UK did it right. It's got tendrils of the rainbow, so you can still see it there. It's got the woman being badass with the sword in the front, and I think it just kind of embodies it. We also have this one, which I like. We get a little bit of a and the color coming out from there. I actually could totally see people liking whichever one of these the best. But for me, I just think the UK actually took away the victory here. And again, we also have the other style, which, oh my God, is so pretty. I love it. I'm gonna buy them all. Someone send me a link. But my favorite Cosmere cover of all time is going to be Emperor's Soul, this style. I love this cover. I love it so much. I've been wrong before when I said other covers for the Cosmere are the most pretty. It's because I forget about this one. I like the style, I like the expression, but it stands out among the bunch because it's just completely different than the Cosmere style we've seen, and I just think it's a very well composed piece. We also have this one for the Emperor's Soul, which is nice. And Elantris wants to come in with one where I've never seen this done for a cover before, where it's like buildings up top, dude's eyes down below, and his eyes are horrifying. It's kind of like plays up the horror elements with Elantris. Not that there's a whole lot of horror outside of just like some disturbing ideas in Elantris, but still, just the middle part, very confusing. The original Elantris cover, I think, is better than some people say, especially if you look at like a high-res version up close. There's a lot of little detail here I enjoy, though I can never not get the feeling this dude's about to push this woman off this edge. There's no railing, and railings are important. And of course, we got this style again, Elantris, and it's spectacular. But now I want to choose, what is the best Cosmere cover? If I'm looking at every Cosmere cover back to back, which one, as I go through, is the most beautiful? It's the Way of Kings. This, no question. Look at an HD version of it and just appreciate the impact of that ice storm.
Feel the lightning strikes and the thunder in your body.
The structure, the presentation, the intensity, the epicness of it, and it lives up to all of that. It communicates story, and it builds a world that you can then live in these pages like few covers I've ever seen have. And you should go ahead and comment your favorite one in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace! And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high tier Patreons, Brian, Lessiter, and Too Old for This Ship.